Let us start with building our static structure. So in this, we are going to create static structure for each and every component. Before starting with the code, let us understand the structure for each and every component. So here I am having header component. Inside that I am going to display one container in which I will be having heading, one paragraph to display this total question, and finally I am having button. So first let us create this header component. So from this components folder, I'm just going to open header.js, and in all the components I have just written this basic boilerplate where I'm just doing export default of this component. I will remove this entire thing. Instead, I will write section. For this, I will give the class as welcome. Then below that, I will be writing h1. Then here I will write welcome to the quiz. Then again below that, I will be creating one paragraph. Here I will write total questions, and by default, I will give the value as 3. Okay, later on, while fetching the data from API, we are going to display dynamic data here. And finally, I will be creating button, and inside this, I will pass the text as start quiz. Save it. Now, to see the output on my screen, what I have to do, I have to render this header inside app.js. I will remove this. Instead, I'm just going to write header. As soon as I select on this, header component will be imported from components folder. I will save. Come here. Now you can see successfully I am able to display my header where I am having heading, I am having paragraph, as well as I am having button. So if you want to render each and every component inside app.js, you can render and you can see the result. But in this project, based on the user action, we are going to display different data. So let me just keep this. I will close. Now I'm just going to open quizmain.js. So here in this project demo, this will be the part which will come inside this quiz main component. And inside this, we are having 3 sections: to display question, to display points, and to display timer. So for this timer, we have to write lot of logic. So here for this timer, I will be creating separate component, that is timer component. So let us work on quiz main component, and then we are going to work on timer component. From here, I will remove this div. Instead, I'm just going to give section. For this, I will give a class as quiz. Inside this, I will create div, and here I'm just going to give the class as progress-container. Inside this, I'm just going to write this progress element. Then below this progress container, I will be creating another div, and for this, I will give the class as progress info. Inside this, I will be writing span. Directly, I'm just going to pass the text. By default, I will be passing this value. Then I will be writing paragraph. Here I'm just going to write points. And inside this span, I will be giving the points. Here I will write 35/70. Finally, I'm just going to create span. Here I will be writing time. And by default, I will be giving 3 seconds. Save it. Now what I will do, inside this app.js, I am just going to render this quizmain.js. I will remove this header. Instead, I will be selecting this quizmain. Click on this. This component will be imported, and I will just remove this header import. Save it. Come here. Now you can see I am having question, I am having points, as well as timer is displayed. So for this question, I will be adding the classes. Let me come. So here for this span, I will give the class name. Here I will give question count. Save it. Now you can see class has been applied. And for this, Timer also, I will be giving the class name is equal to timer. Save. Come here. Successfully, stylings are given. Now what I want, for this timing, we should be writing lot of logic. So what we can do, we can create separate component for this timer. So from here, I'm just going to copy this entire span, and in our last lecture, we have not created component for timer. So inside this components folder, I will be writing timer.js. Then here, I will be writing export default function, my function name timer. Inside this, I will write return. Simply, I'm just going to pass entire span. Now what I want, this timer, I just want to render inside quiz main. In place of this, I just want to render my timer component. So here, I will be writing timer, and here I am having dot slash timer. As soon as I click on this, timer component will be imported. I will close, save it. Come here, again you can see I am having the same result. Now let us work on this question component. Inside this question component, I am having 4 different options. So what I will do, for this 4 different option, I will be creating another component, that is options component. I will close this, and also I'm just going to close. Instead, I'm just going to open my question.js. In the same div, I will be giving the class is equal to question container. And inside this div, I will write h2, and here I'm just going to give the class as question. And as of now, I will write sample question number 1. Later on, from API, we are going to fetch the data, and we are going to display the question from API. Then below this h1, I will be creating div, and for this div, I will give the class as options. Inside this, I'm just going to write the button, and in total, I just want to display 4 options. So I will be creating 4 buttons. And for each button, I will give the class as option. Hit enter. I'm just going to format this. And here I will write option 1, copy. Here I will paste. And accordingly, I'm just going to change the number. Save it. Now what I will do, I will come to app.js. Now instead of quiz main, I will be writing my question component. Click on this, and from here, I'm just going to remove this import. Save. Come here. Now you can see successfully I am able to display the question. Along with that, I am having 4 options. But what I want, for these 4 options, I just want to create separate component. So this entire thing, I'm just going to copy entire div container, and I'm just going to open options.js. Inside this, I'm just going to paste my entire div container. Now what I want, this options, I want to render inside question.js. I will save. Come here. Now in place of this, I just want to render this option. I will write here options. Click on this. This options will be imported. Now save it. Come here. Again, we are going to have the same result. Now we are going to work on this button, and for this we have already created next button component. And similarly, we are having finish button, and this finish button will also be included inside this next button component. I will close, and also I'm going to close. Instead, I will open this next button.js, and here I will create div, and for this I will give the class as navigation buttons. Inside this, I will write button. For this, I will give the class as next. I'm going to pass the text as next. Below that, I will be creating button. For this, I will give the class as finish. Inside this, I will pass the text as finish. Now, I am not going to render inside app.js, but later on, Based on the user action, we just want to display these buttons. Then next, we are having this enquiz component where we have to display entire content. We have to display this emoji message. Accordingly, we have to display this entire text and button. Let us start with enquiz component. I will close. Now I am just going to open this enquiz component. I will remove this entire thing. Instead, I am just going to write section, and for this I will give the class as completion. Here I will write H2 and I am just going to pass the text as thank you for completing the quiz. Below that I will be writing span, and inside this by default I will be passing this emoji, and after that I will write you did well. Again here I will be creating paragraph. For this I will give the class as result. Inside this I will write you scored. Then I am just going to write this strong tag. Here I will write 20. Here I will write out of 70. Then and here percentage is inside this bracket. I just want to display the percentage. Okay, simply you scored 20 out of 70 and your percentage is. So in simple terms, I have displayed this. Finally, below this, I will be creating one paragraph. For this, I will give the class as high score. And inside this parenthesis, I'm just going to write high score. Colon, here I will write 65 points. Let me just give here capital S, and below this I will be creating button, and for this button I will give the text as restart quiz. Okay, inside this end screen I have created section in which I am having heading, I am having span to display the emoji and message, I am having paragraph to display my total score and percentage. Then I am having paragraph to display the high score, and finally I am having button to restart my quiz. Let us see how this component is looking. I will come inside app.js, and here I will be writing end quiz. That component is imported. Save it. Come here. Now you can see successfully I am able to display that component. And finally, we are left with loading component and error component. Let us write the code. I will close this. Now from here, I'm just going to open loading.js. Inside this, I will give the class. Class is equal to loader container. And below this, I will be creating one more div. For this, I will give the class as loader. I do not want to add any content inside this, because using this loader, we are just going to create our spinner. And for that, I have already given entire CSS styling. If you do not want to give that spinner, simply you can write the text. Here I will write loading questions. Save it. Now I'm just going to open error.js. Inside this, remove entire thing. I will write paragraph, and for this I will give the class as error. Then inside this paragraph, I will be writing span, and here I'm just going to add this prohibited emoji. And here I will write the message something went wrong. Please try again later. Okay. Successfully, we have written static structure for all the component. This entire component structure should be ready. So once we start with our application, based on different action, we want to display this different components.